Is this the place?
Yeah, that's it.
You sure?
Kevin and Steve said.
And if they're wrong?
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Well, get the picking, genius.
I didn't bring you here to look pretty. Pick up the door.
Whatever. Well, this certainly isn't sketchy.
Not at all.
Creepy.
You want a light?
Sure, why not? You sound like I have night vision.
Be a smart ass.
Smart ass. How about that go? Next time don't go cheap in the lights, son. They say what this thing's supposed to look like?
Yeah, but I don't think you want me to tell you.
Try me.
Sure you're not going to get scared?
I don't get scared.
Okay. Said it's got these big, glowing red eyes. Blood red eyes. Stands 10 feet tall and it's got an 8-foot to 18-foot wingspan.
Nah, man, I think they're just pulling your leg.
Hey man, I'm just telling you what Steve and John said.
Ken, I think they're just messing with you. What the hell was that?
Dude, man, I don't own this shit. Be careful.
Nah, man, there's something in here. What the hell was that?
Yeah, I left something in the car, man. I'll see you in a second.
The shit!
Come on, man! Come on!
Hurry up, bro!
There it is! We gotta go! Oh!
Missed the well!
Everything that you've just witnessed was inspired by true events. The people that you saw running for their lives from an unknown, mysterious creature were based on people that lived in the town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia in the United States of America. The place that you see behind me was based on the place that they visited, known as the TNT area. And the unknown creature that was attacking and flying towards them was known by many names in Point Pleasant and other places around the entire world. And it's what this episode is going to be about today. Today we're going to be looking into the mystery, what the creature could be, and what it means when this creature is sighted. Today we're going to be looking into the Mothman mystery. Now, the Mothman has been called many things over the years. It's been called an angel, a dark omen, a demon, an alien, a monster, Winged-Humanoid, and a bringer of death and destruction. Now, no matter the name, the facts do show that this creature has been present right before a lot of devastating events that have killed a couple people to thousands of people. And today we're going to be looking into the mystery and see if the Mothman is in fact a bringer of death and destruction. Now, the first original sighting of the Mothman was on November 15th, 1966. And on this night, two couples decided to go up to the abandoned area in Point Pleasant that they referred to as the TNT area. Now, this night was like any other night. They went up there to probably have a good time. But when they got up there, one of the girls noticed that there was a being standing over near one of the buildings. Now, at first she was a little uneasy because she thought they were alone. But when she looked closer, it didn't look like a normal person. she noticed that this being had wings that resembled a moth or a bat. And she alerted her friends. They promptly left, but the creature that she noticed followed them in due haste. Now, as they were going down the road, the creature flew right beside the car, and the woman got a good look at this creature. And in fact, it did have bat or moth-like wings and big glowing red eyes that were reportedly the size of baseballs or road reflectors. Now, not only did this being depict what looked like a person with these huge red eyes and the wings, but the man that was driving the car was going close to 100 miles an hour trying to outrun this beast. And the creature seemed to be keeping up with the car, going almost 100 miles an hour itself with no problem or stress at all. And there are very few animals that do fly that can keep up with those speeds. Now the creature followed the car off of the dirt road, through the woods, as he was making turns, still going extremely fast. Creature still on their tail, no problem at all following them, until they get into town. Once they get into town in a well-lit area, this creature flies onto the top of a building near them and flies off into the night. Now, of course, the kids go to the local police station and they report what they saw. And like most people would react to this, the police thought they were making it up. Until hundreds and hundreds of sightings of this mysterious creature started pouring into the police department within the next year, which made them question, is the Mothman really real?
The TNT area is the claimed house of the infamous Mothman. This area was once a military facility that manufactured and stored deadly TNT materials and weapons during World War II. At the height of its production, it was producing around 500,000 pounds of TNT each day. The company closed in 1945 after the war ended, but they left all of the dangerous materials at the location. And because of this, in 2010, one of the storage igloos containing 20,000 pounds of TNT exploded.
Now, like I said before, the reports of Mothman poured in by the hundreds after this initial sighting. The sightings didn't stop until 1 year and 1 month exactly after that initial sighting on December 15, 1967. And on this date, devastation and tragedy struck the town of Point Pleasant.
Just a few days before the horrid date, people saw a Mothman on the Silver Bridge that connected Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and Gallipolis, Ohio, across the Ohio River. After this sighting, a few days passed, and on the 15th of December in 1967, a weak link in the suspension cable snapped, and the bridge collapsed into the Ohio River, killing 46 people. This was the dark day in Point Pleasant's history that still affects the town to this day.
Now, like I said before, December 15th, 1967 was the last day that the Mothman was seen in the town of Point Pleasant. That did not stop people from around the globe reporting sightings of the Mothman right before other devastating experiences.
He was sighted 1 month before the I-35 bridge collapse in Minnesota in 2007, killing 13 people and injuring 145 more. He was also spotted right before the deadly H1N1 virus outbreak in the late March and early April of 2009 in Mexico. He was sighted before the Chernobyl explosion that happened on April 26, 1986, killing 2 workers and then 28 more people that were exposed to the radiation. And he was sighted before the tsunami on March 11, 2011, killing around 30,000 people in Japan.
Now, some people like to think that Mothman could be something else. Skeptics say that it could be ranging from anything, that it could be a bird, or it could be a perspective problem. Like, you see something from far away and you assume that it's big. Now, Mothman is reported to be around 7.5 to 8 feet tall with a 10 to 15 foot wingspan. And that's a pretty big creature. Now, could there really be an animal that is off in the distance that is looking like it's that big? Or is it possible that there is an actual creature that is that big and that we are calling the Mothman? That's what we're going to be discussing next on the many different animals that Mothman could or could not be.
Now, some people think that Mothman may be some known animal that lives in and around the Point Pleasant area, and that the people are mistaking the Mothman for these animals and misjudging the size. Some people think that the barn owl is a likely suspect. Now, this animal does look like some of the drawings and descriptions of Mothman, except, of course, for the size difference. Mothman has been reported to be between 7.5 feet to 8 feet tall with a wingspan of around 10 feet. Whereas the barn owl is between 9.8 inches to 18 inches tall and has a wingspan from 30 inches to 43 inches wide. This is extremely small compared to the description of Mothman, and the creature was seen flying in a straight line at over 100 miles an hour, and the barn owl has been clocked at going 50 miles an hour at top speed. Another possible suspect is the sandhill crane. This bird does not look anything like the descriptions of Mothman, and even if someone were to see this bird in a short glance, to me, it still doesn't look like it could be mistaken for the creature. The crane only reaches to between 40 inches and 55 inches tall, with a wingspan between 71 inches and 95 inches wide, and the crane can only reach speeds of 20 miles per hour at top speed. The third possible suspect of Mothman is the turkey vulture, which already looks like something that would scare someone that only caught a glimpse of it, but it still doesn't seem like it looks anything like the creature. The vulture only reaches between 25 inches to 32 inches with a wingspan between 32 inches and 51 inches wide, reaching total speeds of 30 miles an hour. Out of all of these birds, the barn owl is the only one that looks remotely like the creature, but it does not reach the size or the speed of Mothman. Not even close. Now, some birds do reach speeds of 100 miles an hour, and some even more. This is a picture of the white-throated needle-tail swift. It is a smaller bird and can reach speeds of 105 miles an hour, but these birds breed in Central Asia and southern Siberia. They winter in the Indian subcontinent, Southeast Asia, and Australia. They also have been spotted in Western Europe. This is a picture of the golden eagle, and yet again appears scary at first glance. It reaches speeds between 150 to 200 miles an hour, but again, these birds are only found in Mexico, Western North America, and as far north as Alaska. This is a picture of the peregrine falcon, and it is the fastest bird in the world. It can reach speeds of almost 400 miles an hour. Now, they do not reach this miles per hour by flying in a straight line. What they do to attain their great speeds is fly to extreme heights, and then they dive free-falling at their record speeds, which Mothman does not.
Now, there was another sighting of Mothman, and this sighting happened in the state of Wisconsin in the United States. And what happened during this sighting is a Cherokee man and his son were driving home one night, and it was really late, completely dark outside, and all of a sudden the man noticed that a creature was flying right by the side of his car. And he said that this creature, from his eyewitness testimony, had huge red eyes, a white mouth or white fangs coming out of its mouth, and huge bat or moth-like wings. Now, this sounds a whole lot like Mothman, if not exact to the original sighting. Now, again, the son who was driving sped the car up and went around many twists and turns trying to shake the creature, and of course couldn't. And this time the creature did something a little bit different. He got in front of their car as they were still driving and just proceeded to fly backwards, staying windshield level with the car, staring into the car at the people. And they got an extremely good look at this creature. And the man described it as almost human-like. The wings were sprouting from its body, and again, it had the red eyes, the white fangs, and it almost had a lack of a neck. Like the head was just connected to the body. He also said that it had brown or blackish hair. Now, it didn't have a lot of hair. It had more flesh than it had hair. Now to me, that sounds like no creature that I know exists anywhere. I don't know of any creature that would exhibit that kind of behavior, like it was intentionally watching people, toying with them as they were driving the car, flying backwards, and then what it did next, in mid-air, mid-flight, took off and just shot straight up into the air with its wings. That is an extremely odd trait for any animal to have, or look like for that matter. So the question remains, what did this father and son see? Because to me it sounds like they saw something that was not any known animal to the science community.
This is Chief Kia Tugul, which is roughly translated to Cornstalk, who was a feared leader of the Shawnee Indian group that lived around what is now Point Pleasant. He lived during the pre-American Revolutionary War time when the first settlers came to the area. Now, when these settlers first came to the area, the Indians did fight to protect their land, but as time went on, Cornstalk made friends with the people who were now settling in the area. Now, the British started coaxing the local Indian tribes to try to attack the rebelling colonies, but Cornstalk was smarter than that. He went and traveled to the nearby fort with his friend named Red Hawk, who was a chief of a Delaware tribe. The fort was controlled by Captain Arbuckle. Cornstalk told Arbuckle that he did not want a war with him, but that if other tribes began fighting, he would not tell his that they couldn't. Cornstalk, Red Hawk, and a few other Indians that were with them were then immediately imprisoned at the fort, Arbuckle thinking he could use them for future leverage.
Now Cornstalk was taken as a prisoner at the fort, but he wasn't treated like a normal prisoner. He was given food, he was given water, proper accommodations, a bed, everything. He wasn't treated like a prisoner because Arbuckle did not want the same thing that Cornstalk wanted. They didn't want a war with one another. He just kept him there because he felt like that he could use it for future leverage until this hostility between them and the British and the Indians died down. Cornstalk's youngest son was even allowed to come and visit his father. Now, of course, when he did, he was taken in as a prisoner, like his father, but they were treated nicely. Until one day, when two of the soldiers at the fort ventured out to hunt some deer, and they were killed and mutilated by a group of Indians. Now, of course, Cornstalk had nothing to do with this. He was inside the fort the whole time. But this enraged the rest of the guards and soldiers at the fort, and they took matters into their own hands, breaking commands and rushing in to Cornstalk and Red Hawk and Cornstalk's son's room, pulling out their guns and open firing into the room. Red Hawk even tried to escape up the chimney and was grabbed by the ankle, pulled back down the chimney, and massacred just like the rest of them. Now, when the soldiers opened fire and brutally killed all of the Indians inside, Cornstalk still somehow clung to life as he was bleeding out onto the floor. And when he was bleeding out, right before he died, he uttered the famous words that would be later known as Cornstalk's curse.
This was the famous curse that was uttered by Cornstalk as he lay dying in the fort. I was the borderman's friend. Many times I have saved him and his people from harm. I never warred with you, but only to protect our wigwams and lands. I refuse to join your pale-faced enemies with the red coats. I come to the fort as your friend, and you murdered me. You have murdered by my side my young son. For this may the curse of the Great Spirit rest upon this land. May it be blighted by nature. May it even be blighted in its hopes. May the strength of its people be paralyzed by the stain of our blood.
Now, some people think that the Mothman was part of Cornstalk's curse, and that he was sent here to bring destruction to the town of Point Pleasant for the residents paying for the sins of their ancestors. Now, the people of Point Pleasant might have something to the Mothman mystery, but there's one problem with that. Cornstalk was only reported to curse the land of Point Pleasant. So if Mothman is part of the curse of Cornstalk, why was he sighted in Minnesota, Japan, and Mexico? And other places around the world? To me, it just doesn't sound like the Mothman is part of the Cornstalk curse. Now, the Silver Bridge collapse could have been part of the curse. But if Mothman is a bringer of death and destruction, then the bridge would be associated with Mothman and not the curse. Now, the events that the Mothman was sighted at before they ended tragically, they all can be explained away by something, either faulty equipment, disease, natural occurrences, things like that. So, you know, deadly as they are, they can be explained. So that begs another question. If he doesn't bring death and destruction with him, is he some sort of messenger that's being sent to warn us of these impending dooms? Maybe. He could be. But if he is, then why was he hiding out in the TNT area in West Virginia? And why, when the kids were visiting the TNT area, did he attack them? To me, that almost sounds like something an animal would do to protect its home. But if this creature is 8 feet tall with a 10-foot wingspan, this creature is enormous. It could easily maul or fatally injure somebody if it felt the need to. And all these attacks, and all the reported attacks that I've read and that I've seen or watched, nobody's ever been harmed or even remotely touched by the Mothman. So maybe him being a messenger for us of impending dooms maybe has some credibility, because maybe he doesn't want to harm us. Maybe he wants to, you know, warn us of these horrible things that are going to happen. Or maybe, just maybe, the Mothman is an evil force that causes horrible events to people and causes death wherever he goes. So, to wrap up everything we've talked about today, what is the Mothman and what is his purpose towards us? Is he a messenger sent from above to warn us of what's going to happen? Or is he a messenger from below that was sent here to cause us death and misery? Or maybe, just maybe, is he something else altogether that's just out there trying to survive like the rest of us? Hey everybody, thanks for watching the video. If you liked what you saw today, please do not forget to hit that big red subscribe button below. You'll get a notification every time I put a new video out, which again is every other week. I use that week in between to get all the research that I could possibly get my hands on and to do the casting for the dramatizations. Also, please don't forget to like, comment, and share this video, because it reaches more people that way, because a lot of work goes into these videos, not just from me, but from my cast and my crew as well. Also, if you have a story that you've experienced yourself that you can't possibly explain, or you think has paranormal or unexplained elements to it, then please contact me either by commenting below or contacting me on Facebook or Twitter. Also, like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. Those links will be in the comment section below. And also, I'm starting a new thing. If anybody has any questions about the subject matter that I'm talking about in this episode or any other episodes, then please comment below. I will read the comments and do a follow-up video answering all of your questions. And always remember to wait for the next episode.